glamour game up, Kamesha.
What you talking about? I look good.
This I don't know about you, but
running the overalls. I'm looking for wood. Okay?
Wait,
I love your hair, Kamesha. I love your hair, by the way.
Thank you.
So yes.
but
All
wait,
right.
Marsha, I said, me and my husband are going on a date. Right after this, we're going to an Italian couples cooking class. And so I'm dressed down and comfortable. I got my sneakers on and I put my little overall dress on. And my husband said, "You about to go on that podcast looking like Mr. Green Jean."
And for those of you who don't know who that is, right?
I don't know who that is. I don't know who Mr. Green Jean is.
Kamesha.
All right. So welcome to the 2.0 Grandma Podcast. And I am Dr. Marsha, and we're going to have some fun this afternoon. So welcome, my guests. They call themselves Wisdom in Bloom. So I cannot wait to find out what that means. These two beautiful ladies here today, Kamesha, what's your last name?
Milton,
Kamesha Milton, and Denise Hendershot.
Yeah.
And Denise is an old friend. She was probably, I think, season 1, Denise, on the podcast when I was just getting started and just learning the game of podcasting.
And your book and your grandma's book.
Yes, that's right. And so I tell you, I was so excited for her to come on the podcast. And I fell in love with her and her husband and what they were doing out here at the time. And they were raising grandkids. I'm sure the grandkids are still around. So they were raising grandkids, and I thought that was very admirable of them to do something like that, because I tell you, and it was because of them that I kind of expanded what I was doing to open it up to grandparents who were raising their grandkids, because I had no idea how many people were doing that at the time. So it was because of them that I actually started noticing, like, oh my God, there are a lot of people that are doing that. And then I started supporting organizations that were doing that. And it was because I found out from them that was a thing.
Oh,
okay.
Wow.
But yeah, I had no idea that was a thing. I mean, in the African-American community, we do that all the time. Right? We do that all the time, but we don't make a big deal out of it.
Right.
But it is a huge thing.
I belong to a Facebook group, grandmothers supporting their grandkids, or grandmas raising their grandkids.
Right.
And I had thought it out. I got in that group. I actually got into this therapy session like a couple years ago of grandmothers who are also supporting their grandkids. And you wouldn't believe how many. I mean, first of all, there's so many grandmothers that do it from all walks of life. But our African American community is more prevalent in doing it, and we do it in silence.
Right.
Yes. The grandmothers of other colors, they wave a flag. They let people know. They ask for help. They start groups. They have all these support. But we do it in silence. We do it. And nobody knows, and we don't look for accolades. We just play the role, and we do it because most of us are a product, like myself, of being raised by a grandmother. So we just do it.
And I found a lot of organizations, and we started supporting those organizations, by helping them, like at Christmas time, back to school time, because we realized that there are a lot of families that need that support. And then also reached out to some folks that are doing research around that. Met a lot of folks doing that, had them on the podcast. I tell you, so that within itself could be a whole, just an organization, talking about grandmas that just devotes their time and energy just to that within itself.
Well, I think it's amazing that you're doing that work, Dr. Marsha, because I do agree. I don't think that people realize how much support grandparents really need. Because the reason that grandparents are raising their grandkids is because the children need help, right? For whatever reason, they've had some kind of challenges, or maybe they passed on or whatever. And now they have to take on their grandchildren, which is not something most of them anticipated, right? They did not plan to do that. So the fact that you actually have looked into this and realized the support that is needed and is offering it, I think is an amazing thing. Because as Denise says, I think it's one of those, it's a more of an expectation. I think that, family is going to step in and grandparents are going to help and it's just going to be okay. But if you're not planning to take on, a whole new generation of children,
Right.
it's not easy.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Yes.
That generation gap is huge. When I tell you it's huge, there's 43 years between me and my my next to oldest granddaughter. And trust me, it takes a toll on both of us.
Oh, I can imagine.
Because there is, and then the other part of that support is their mother, who has come back into the picture and doing absolutely phenomenal, doing the work. But there is the support that's still needed for me, and Kamesha talks to me about this all the time, releasing. I have a hard time
letting go.
Letting go, because I have not been the grandparent their whole life. I've been their parent. So it's almost like I'm maternal. The mother is releasing. You know what I mean? And I'm not releasing because my daughter is doing a bad job. Like, she is doing the damn thing. Like, she is doing it. I'm not releasing because I don't feel the grandmother role. I felt that maternal role for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's another part of the support that I talk to my therapist about, because that takes a toll on me.
Well, you know what? There's a grandma that is in my group in the Hampton Roads area that wants to connect with someone who can talk to grandmas in this area about that same thing. Right, because we are doing meetups, right? And so she said, you know what I really want, because she was one of those grandmas who raised grandkids. And she said, what I did not have is someone to talk to me about my role as the grandparent instead of my role as the parent, right? Because I was the parent, so I couldn't be both. Right. And I had a hard time navigating that. And then when my daughter came back to try to get them, I, like you, didn't want to let go, didn't know how to let go, because I was that parent for such a long time. And then I didn't trust my daughter. Now she said she didn't trust her daughter to do the right thing. So she held on. It was such a mess, she said. And she said she wants to somehow get some support for these grandparents that are going through that are struggling with that. And so we've been looking for someone to do that. So if you have a recommendation, please send us a recommendation. And maybe if they're in your area, maybe they can, kind of connect us with somebody in this area. Because we've been looking for someone.
I would love to. And it is. There's support across the board. Like in our case, my daughter is doing a great job. And I still don't want to release.
Right.
I find myself being judgmental and being critical. And even though Kamesha is not a grandmother, I bounce things off of her, and she will look at me and she says, "You never was allowed to play the grandmama role.
Right.
Let yourself be their grandmother."
Right. But she has to learn what that is, right?
Right.
No.
You need grandma classes. Grandma classes. Yeah. On how to be a grandma. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I bet that is tough. Yeah, because I know that, like as a grandma, we always say, well, if I don't want to be bothered with grandkids, I can do it. I can do it on my own time when I want to do it and all those things. But in your case, you couldn't do that. So yeah, that's totally different.
And the reverse of that is the kids still will call me for permission if they want anything, and I'll have to keep reiterating, you guys got to call your mom. You guys got to call your mom. Even with the schools still call me, and I had to have a meeting with the school and say, Mom is back. So the first line of defense would be to call her.
Right.
And if she doesn't answer, then call me. But the first, and she's on it. She's going to meetings. She's going to track me. She's going to she's buying snacks. I mean, when I tell you that these 2 years she has put in the work, she's doing all the things. And they are still trying to call me. And I'm like, we're all having a hard time transitioning.
Right. And
Yeah.
who's having a tough time letting go? Wow.
Everybody, but that does sound like
Yes.
the first step, though, Denise. So
Yes.
maybe, Dr. Marsha, for your friend, the woman in your group,
Mm-hmm.
setting the boundaries to say, okay, there's going to be new boundaries for grandmom versus mom,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
now these are the boundaries, and this is what you can contact me for as the
Mm-hmm.
grandmom now. Now I'm no longer the mom. Mom is here. These are the things you contact mom for. These are the things you contact me for, or I'm just a backup. I'm only a backup, like on an
Right.
emergency card like everyone else, right? But I think that's a great first step too, Denise, because sometimes grandmoms don't want to do that. Like you said, they don't want to let go. They're like, no, still contact me and I'll be the
Yeah.
one. It's like, no. If you don't want to, you got to release it, right? And that's a
Yeah.
good way to start doing that, is setting those boundaries and say, no, now I'm moving into the grandma role. Please don't continue to, make me the number one contact person. So congratulations to you.
So it's hard because
Yeah, I bet it's hard.
Oh, I know it is.
my daughter would say, they would call me on her, and she would say, "You can't call her on. I'm your mama." You know what I mean? But in their defense, that was their first line of defense.
Right.
Mhm.
Everyone has to relearn their roles, what I mean?
Yes. And role confusion is a thing.
Yes.
Yes, it is. It is definitely a thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll tell you. Well, this is not what we want to talk about, ladies. Okay. We want to talk about
Very good topic.
but it is definitely a good topic, because I was thinking, you know what? That's a whole nother subject that we need to talk about on a different podcast. Okay. So, but let's talk about wisdom in bloom. What does that really mean? I want to know. I have to know. What does that mean?
Well, so Wisdom in Bloom came about. Denise is actually the person who came up with the idea for us to come together for a podcast. And so I had done like a podcast with my son that was kind of short-lived because, children. But it was a lot of fun. Like, it was a lot of fun.
It was good.
Yeah, it was fun. And then I had done another sort of show like online, talking to women or whatever. So I actually like it. I like talking to women. I liked helping and supporting them. And Denise, of course, has had a history in podcasts. And so she thought it would be a great idea if we came together to do a podcast. And of course, I said, absolutely not. Like, I had just finished that podcast.
So you're like, no, I'm over podcasting.
No.
She didn't shoot me down one time, but she shot me down several times.
Really?
Yeah, it took some weeks, probably about a month or so or two for some things to happen.
Yeah, I didn't think she knew what she was asking, because this is as you know, Dr. Marsha, a podcast is a lot of work, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of work, commitment, planning, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And we didn't want it to just be kind of like this idea that just, you do a few episodes, like mini podcasts, and then they just like fall away. But I also believe in signs. And so Denise had sent me this picture. Speaking about grandmoms, she had sent me this picture, which was a mug that she had received. And it had like her name and then the grandkids' names on it. And I was like, oh my God, I literally just bought that mug for my mom for, it was either her birthday or
it was a custom mug now. So it wasn't nothing you could just get off the shelf.
No. And we had never discussed this mug. I didn't know she had this mug. She didn't know, that I had ordered it for my mom. It was just like a very random thing. And because I believe in signs, I was like, oh man, this means we got to do this podcast now.
Okay,
and so
I don't get that. So how were they similar? What was the sign?
It was the exact same mug.
Okay.
It was the exact same mug. The only difference was, mine had my mom's name and her grandkids, and Denise had her name and her grandkids. But it was literally the exact same mug, exact same color, everything, the same design.
And I have no idea, Dr. Marsha, why I sent her a picture, because she's not a grandmother. I was like, oh, this cup is so cute. I'll send it and show it to Kamesha. Had no clue why I sent it. I didn't even send her an explanation. I just shot the photo to her.
You're like, wow, that's interesting. Okay.
Right. And so then I thought, okay, maybe this is, a reason. This is a sign that says maybe we should be working together. There's a connection, right? Because that's what I always think about signs. Like, there's a connection there.
Okay.
And so then we started talking again about, the podcast and like what we were thinking would be a good idea. And so we wanted to talk to women that were over 40, right? That were navigating this midlife. So we like to say, like Wisdom in Bloom helps women navigate midlife with courage, with faith, and then with humor, right? So we talk about all kinds of things, whether it be menopause, whether it be dating, which is always a hot topic.
Oh my God. Yes. Okay, keep going. You're gonna get to my subject in a minute. Go ahead.
Get back to that.
Yes, we talk about loneliness, which we learned is a huge thing for people our age, especially women that are suffering in silence with loneliness that can lead to all kinds of, terrible outcomes. And we just had a recent episode on forgiveness, right? So there's a lot of different things that, we've been able to learn about people our age, women specifically, but we also have men that listen to our podcast and watch us as well. And just
they have a lot to say.
Oh, yeah. I bet they do. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that it also is a space that wasn't being filled, right? I think you probably recognize this as well, being a woman of a certain age, that there's not a lot of people of color our age out here talking about our stories, right?
Yes.
We also recognize that there was an opportunity there to share, what's been going on with our community too. So that's kind of, I guess, the inception of Wisdom in Bloom. And now we have reached our 1-year anniversary.
Yes.
And yes, in November we reached our 1-year anniversary. We are still going strong. We're really excited about what we have coming up for next year as well. So,
and it's something too, Dr. Marshall, because probably 3 times in the year that we've been doing this, one or the other one of us would sit back and we go, okay, what are we doing? Because the numbers are not there. And when we first started the podcast, the first thing I told Kamesha was, do not focus on the numbers.
Yeah.
If you
look at the numbers, I have somebody look at it. I don't look
if anybody if you're trying to get into podcasting and think that's your get rich quick thing, you're sadly mistaken unless you're already a celebrity. Because podcasting it becomes this real labor of love, you know what I mean? And it becomes that labor of love without being monetized immediately. You have to kind of build that up or already have some other tools in place to get there. And so that was the first thing I said to her. Don't focus on the numbers. And probably about 3 times that we've been doing this podcast, one or the other one of us would go, what are we doing? Like, we need to make sure we're doing the right thing. We need to make sure we're reaching out to the sisterhood. We don't want to do this in vain. That's not why we're here. And as soon as we say that, something immediately almost happens to reaffirm that we're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing, And just recently, probably, I guess about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe 3 months ago, I started the Wisdom in Bloom humor session, where we would put me and Kamesha to an animated source and something funny would happen, but it would be around midlife, whether it be hot flashes or whether it be, our knees ain't kneeing no more or something, And,
I love that.
and it came by, and that's another thing with us that has come by mistake. One day I'm messing around with AI and graphics and I make a cartoon figure of me and Kamesha.
It's kind of us, Dr. Marshall.
Right. I understand how AI works.
We're still working on our likenesses.
Oh my God.
Keep working on these.
Yeah, we're working on it. But I shoot it to Kamesha, and Kamesha said, "Oh, that is so cute. We look like we should be in comics or a cartoon or something." Yeah, and I'm just playing around, and I said, "Yeah, that's cute." And then I sent it to my oldest daughter, and she's in perimenopause right now. She's 38, 39, and I sent it to her, and she's cracking up, and she sends me a little note back, and she says, "You need to do this more." She said, "This made my day." I was cracking up. She says, "Mom, you and Kamesha are so funny together. You need to do little sketches and do this." And I'm still not thinking about, oh yeah, whatever. But about a week later, she texted me back and she said, You didn't do the cartoon thing. You need to do it. And so I started doing it. And we start garnering, like gaining followers and gaining, listeners. And all these people start resonating with this humor because menopause and all of it is so heavy. It is just
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
heavy. And they start, recognizing this humor. And then one day, out of the blue, the young lady that does the We Do Not Care,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
she started sharing our cartoons,
Ooh.
our humor. And she was like, this is exactly what we needed, because she's humorous too. And then so now the cartoons are kind of taking off. And me and Kamisha was like, we doing all this hard work and all this damn cartoons are taking off.
And cartoons is what people really.
Cartoons are the ones
You
Wow.
know, I mean, of course, a podcast, right, is a learning process. And so
yes,
that's
it
one
is.
of the things we've learned,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we came thinking, okay, these are the things that women want to talk about, because these are the things that
Mhm.
we wanted to talk about. And these are
Yeah.
the things that women need to know. And then we've just kind of allowed now the audience, I think, now that we've gotten out all these topics, now we're sitting back to say, okay, now what is it that people really come to us for? Like, what is it
Mhm.
they really resonate with? And while I think there are a lot of different topics for women our age and a lot of different struggles and things. Like Denise says, I think they just want to be in a space where they can be light about it, right?
Yeah.
It's like the world is so heavy now, especially
Yes.
for women and Black women and all the
Yes.
things going on in America, that I think the lightness of these cartoons and even some of our episodes that have been funny that people really love, has been the thing that has really drawn them into wisdom.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I mean, we've had so many women say, you see me, and then so many other women who have podcasts now that are wanting to collaborate. There's like, you guys are hitting on so many subjects that a lot of us were just suffering in silence,
Yeah.
just not knowing where to talk. And like Kamisha said, we had a whole list, like we did our research. We took months of just really diving in to see what people wanted to talk about. And yes, people wanted to talk about them. But then when we got into it, we got feedback from people who are suffering. They're suffering from loneliness, our midlife women, especially our Black women. They're
Mm-hmm.
suffering from loneliness. They're suffering from being just alone and not being seen, not being heard, being looked at and being invisible. You know,
Yes. That's something we talk about
relationships
too. Yeah, being
relationships have
invisible.
just been
Oh,
non-existent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when we look at our numbers, the biggest thing is loneliness and healing in relationships.
Mm.
It really is.
wow.
Yeah, that whole invisible thing, I've been saying that from the begetting about grandmas. I said, after a certain age, people
Hmm.
don't see you.
They don't.
They don't.
Mm.
Women after a certain age, people do not see you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In America, they do not see women after a certain age,
Why do you think that
unless
is, Dr. Mark?
unless you are thin, blonde. Why do you think I'm blonde, girl? Come on now.
Trying to stand out.
They gonna see me. They gonna see me.
See me, okay?
But
And somebody
Dr.
asked me one day,
Martha,
why do you go blonde? And I said that, and I didn't even think about it. I just automatically said it, right?
mhm,
And
Yeah.
that was not the reason, right? I just said, and I said, oh, because you remember what they say, blondes have more fun.
mhm,
I said, so this
Mm-hmm.
is a research project for me.
mhm,
Mm.
And a friend of mine asked me that, and I said that I didn't really even think about it. But I'm
Mm.
like, you know what? That has a little bit of truth because sometimes we say things like that in a jokingly way.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
It has some truth to it.
yeah,
And
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it, and I said, well, maybe that's why I did it. I don't know. And I've been blonde now for how many? Maybe going on.
mhm,
I think I was in DC when I first got my hair, did my hair blonde. And that was 20. I went to DC in 2009.
mhm,
Mm. Oh,
Right,
mhm.
wow.
so it's been a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
and so maybe that was it. I didn't even think about it at the time, to be
Right.
honest with
Right.
you.
Right.
But
But when somebody asked
Dr.
me that, I
Marsha,
did. That's what I said.
one thing that we've noticed, I remember in my earlier years of traveling with my husband in the military, we lived in Italy, we've been all over. And I noticed that the elderly people are treated way different than the elderly people in
Yes, in
America.
America, yes.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
elderly
Everywhere in the world, my
people,
understanding, yeah.
yeah, the elderly people in other parts of the country, they're looked at as wise.
Yes,
They're reverend. You
yes,
know, they are sought out
yes.
for
Mm-hmm.
information. You know, they are taken care of. The families make sure that they are taken care of. Then you come to America, and our elderly is forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Both my daughters have worked in nursing assistance home and in living assistance for years. And I've come up there and, brought them food and had conversation with them and saw the loneliness and the
Mm-hmm.
forgotten elderly that's there,
Mm-hmm.
that the family does not, they put them
They
there.
just
Oh
they
no,
put
they
them somewhere
drop them off,
Mm-hmm,
and
and
that's
looks like girl bye. But really to their own parents.
mm-hmm,
yeah. I mean, but you're right. I mean, Denise, I think that's part of our culture here in America,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Mm-hmm.
think
Mm-hmm.
it also feeds back into this whole capitalism, that we have going on where everything is about youth, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
always about the
Yes.
young people. It's
Yes.
always as
Yes.
though they have money anyway to buy anything. They don't have no money
Mm-hmm.
anyway. But it's
Mm-hmm.
always about, how they look and whether it's
Right.
women or men or how fit they are, how beautiful they are and
Mm-hmm.
young and all of this. And they forget about the people that are older. And even though like 50 is not even old,
mm-hmm,
right? You have people that live to 80, 90 years old.
Exactly.
Okay. So like 50 is not even old, but
yeah,
you're right. It's that this idea that youth is the prize in this country.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's what
And
happens.
they want us to believe. They want us to believe that, and so they really want us to go somewhere and sit down
yeah,
Right. And be quiet.
and be
and take
quiet. Yeah.
several seats.
Mm-hmm,
Right.
mm-hmm,
Exactly. Yeah, that's really what they want. And they want us to believe that. When I started doing Grandma's 2.0, and I was looking for, like, we were building my website, and we were looking for pictures of grandmas. And, I call it Grandma's 2.0. So the
mm-hmm,
2.0 means, right, this is our advanced version.
yes.
This is a
Mm-hmm.
better version of ourselves, right? But it doesn't mean that we're looking decrepit. Does not
Yeah.
mean that,
No.
Right.
right?
Right. Mm-hmm,
It means like this is my best version yet.
mm-hmm,
Yes.
Okay, so the best yet means good. It doesn't mean that you're old and decrepit.
mm-hmm.
Nope.
And but all the pictures that I found were older women, and we're talking gray hair, we're talking heavy, we're talking bent over, I'm
With
like,
pain.
wait a minute, right? I'm like, wait a minute. That's not how I look.
No.
Yeah.
That's not how I want to look. I mean, at some point in my life, I may look that way. And if it is, I'm going to deal with it. But I'm not there yet. And I don't want to look that way. I don't want to portray, and my friends don't look that way. So why are there no pictures of women that look like me?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So
And
what do we have to do?
especially us as Black women, we already look
Yes,
younger, right? Like we just
you.
look just younger in general.
In general, right?
Yes. And I think this generation, like our generation, like our Gen X generation, part of the reason I think personally there might be some science behind this. I don't know. Why we don't look as old is because we're not smoking, we're not doing all the drinking that those generations had to do in some cases just to deal with life. I understand that. I'm not, judging or anything. But when you don't have those things kind of flowing through your system, I think you can maintain, a youthful like
Mm-hmm.
appearance for a longer period of time. And
Mm-hmm.
so I
Mm-hmm.
think that's why now you'll see all of this stuff on social media, like, oh my God, this is what the 50-year-olds are looking like. You know what I
Right,
mean? They
right,
look
right,
30,
right. Right, and they give
50-year-olds.
some of these young girls a run for their money.
Yes,
Right?
yes. They don't believe how old we say we are.
Exactly. I
They
know.
don't, which is good.
Yeah. I
Which is really
posted.
good. But it's sad too to think that that's what they're portraying
That's
women that
right.
are 60
Right.
and 70 are. And I'm like,
Yes. And it has changed and they've not
Mhm.
kept up with that. But I think
Exactly.
that also helps to feed their narrative, right? That we want to be focused on youth, right? And
Mhm.
young
Mhm.
people.
And the way they feed that narrative too. I just put a post on our Wisdom and Boulevard that this week about how they go, oh, 50 is the new 30 and 60 is the new 40. And it's like, no, midlife is the new midlife.
Right.
50 is damn
Right.
50 and 60 is 60. And because you have to put a stigma on to say that 60 is the new 40, it's because you believe 60 is old.
Right.
You
And
know,
it looks a
so
certain way.
and it looks
Right.
a
And it
certain way.
looks a
So
certain
you
way in your
have to
mind.
say, well, in your mind, so you have to say this. No, 60 is 60, 50
Mhm.
is 50. Is how I'm living it. That
And it's not my fault that you look 60 when you're only 30. Hello.
Right.
What were you doing? Okay, like some of my sister's friends, they were saying, we went to, and it's kind of sad to say, we went to a funeral, in my hometown. And so these little girls, they were my sister's age, right? And she's like 5 years younger than me. And so they were like, what have you been doing? You don't look, wait a minute. I thought you were older than us. And I said, I am.
No,
and I said,
Lord.
well, y'all were out there around. I won't say the word I used. That drinking and smoking. I was at home taking care of my children like I was supposed to be. Right. And then I went and jumped in my little Mini Cooper car and put my top down and my hair was blonde. And I was like, how you like me now? Anyway, they were like, we hate you. I know it, but whatever. Right. But it goes to show you, like you said, I wasn't out there drinking and doing all that stuff while y'all were out there drinking and still drinking and looking like you're 80 years old. That's not my fault that y'all chose that life.
Right.
Not my fault.
Right.
Yeah, right. My husband is so funny. He says, because my husband's side of the family, they look so much older than what they are. Like I'm probably older than all of them, but they look so much older. And you know how they always say, well, white people, they age different, they look older. And my husband tell you, he said, because my husband is almost 60 and he doesn't look it. And he'll say, no. He said, no. He said, there's some care in there that has to happen as well. And some moisturizing.
Definitely moisturize.
So what you're saying is, we have to take care. And I'm not saying that things don't happen, because things happen. I've gained weight. There's things that happen, but there's still a certain level of care that you have to maintain in this part of your life, so this next part of your life you don't look decrepit.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. And you have to do that. And I love the fact that you guys you said you guys used to work together, right? Or did I read that?
Yes, that's how we met. We met in. Now, if you ask Denise will say, we've been friends 20 years.
30 years.
She adds a year or two every time, we talk about how
you add a year or two every time.
I know.
Every time.
We've known each other now. Well, it's been like maybe 15 years, I guess, or so. Yes. And so we met at a company that we have both been at for many years, but for whatever reason had never met. And there was an event that Denise was leading. It was like a coat drive. And so I participated, and then we helped pack up the coats and stuff. And that's how we really officially met and started talking. And then we just became fast friends, And like I said, even though even after that, we still never worked directly with each other. But we just, had such a connection that we've maintained. And both of us have since left that company. And we've still maintained our friendship.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And did you know that you were did you think that you would end up here doing a podcast together?
I did. Let me tell you why. I tell her this story all the time. So Kamesha is really big on keeping up with friends that connect with her. She's not going to let you not be her. If once she connects with you and God gives her that sign that you're her friend, she ain't gonna let a week go by. She's gonna either send you an audio or a text. She has this thing where she wants to maintain connection of a good circle, And
I try.
So, she does. And so she actually, the company we was working for, she actually moved to Dubai for over 2 years, 2.5 years.
Wow.
But while she was in Dubai, every single month she was there without fail. I don't think we may have missed 1 month, maybe, but every month.
Wow, I love that, Kamesha. Oh, I wish I was more like that.
She would set up a Zoom, and we would Zoom with each other once a month and just catch up and talk. And sometimes we would be on the phone for 30 minutes, but sometimes we would be on the phone for 3 hours. Sometimes we have a humorous session. Sometimes we'd be crying. At the time, I was in the thick of helping and raising my grandkids. So I had a lot going on, and she would just sit there and listen to me babble and cry, and we talk through that. We talk through some of her stuff. We talk about recipes. We talk about Dubai. But almost every month, I feel like we may have missed 1 or 2 months, maybe for 2.5 years. While
Wow,
she was
a
there.
beautiful friend.
And I used to tell my husband, me and Kamesha talk about everything, and I would tell she is so wise. She is so wise. I said one day she's gonna do a talk show with me. One day she's gonna do a talk show with me. And he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He could care less. He don't care. He's like,
Right.
wow.
I didn't know she was thinking about all of this, Dr.
Oh,
I had no
wow.
idea she was planning and plotting this like in the background that one day we were going to have to do something together.
Well, when you guys, when you first came on, together here today, and I said, wow, I like the chemistry between the two of you. And it made me think about a girl that I used to work with. And I was thinking recently we kind of reconnected, right? We used to stay in touch a lot. And then we got separated. We didn't talk as much. Yeah. And then recently we started talking, maybe within the last year, we started talking every other week, right? We just started talking to each other more. And we used to do trainings together. Yeah. And so that our trainings wouldn't be boring, we would come up with all these grand ideas of how we were going to do our training. So we trained for Head Start. So that was early childhood educators, right? We would train for. And so sometimes we would do these trainings where we would pretend we were doing a talk show. Sometimes we were Oprah, and we would invite, like if we had an invited guest, we would have a panel, and then we would talk to them and we would let them talk. And then sometimes we would bring up like disability coordinators, and if we had new information we wanted them to share, and we would bring them up and they would share it to the people in the audience. And so the people in the audience would be the teachers, right? And so we would be interviewing them. Yeah. Sometimes I remember us doing, and don't hold this against us because we didn't know at the time that Donald Trump was a fool. But remember the Apprentice. I remember The Apprentice, right? Yeah. And so one time we did The Apprentice show.
Yeah. Oh wow!
And then one time we did Survivor. So we did all these creative things, right? But as you guys were talking, I'm like, man, me and Jarma should do a podcast together.
Well, let me tell you something, Dr. Marsha. Let me tell you, she don't know how I was setting her up.
I'm sure I don't.
Listen, me and my husband, our podcast, we would sometimes have subjects, and I would say to him, Kamesha would be better fit
no, you didn't
to have this conversation with me on this episode, right?
So kicking her husband off. You hear
that? And so I would start inviting her to come have, conversations with me on the podcast. Like we talked about strong women. We talked about, parenting. We've talked about a couple of things. One time I was getting ready to record an episode and my husband wasn't feeling well, so he couldn't do it. I called Kamesha and I said, Kamesha, what are you doing? She had a headscarf on and she was baking bread. And she said, girl, I'm in the house with pajamas and a headscarf. I'm baking, bread. And I said, can you jump on the podcast with me and record something with me? I know you have a lot to say on this subject. And she was like, Denise, no, I got a headscarf on. But you know what? I said, I won't even turn the video on. We'll just do audio. And I had her jump on. So in my mind, I feel like I've been kind of setting her up the whole time.
I had no idea.
And she was just falling in play and didn't even know. I mean, at one point, I was saying, why don't you call Kamesha and see if she'll do this episode with you? She had no idea.
Wow.
She had a grand plan, Dr.
Yes.
I had no idea.
Screaming.
If I knew, I probably would have stopped taking her call a long time. They're like, nope, I'm not available.
That's what we call wisdom in bloom. It's the scheme, money. It's the scheme, right?
Yes. And those episodes would do good numbers too. That episode did great.
Wow.
Oh it was just affirmed her suspicions. Then.
Yeah,
but the great thing about Denise and I, like, we have a very easy relationship. And so we've also learned this, as we have been doing this Wisdom and Bloom podcast, that's a lot of the feedback we get from women too. They're like, oh my God, how long have you known each other? We love your chemistry. Like you said, you guys are so funny together. We love your friendship.
Yeah.
And I think some of it is obviously we just, like naturally have a connection, but also women are missing out on this, right? Like they don't have these relationships. They don't have these connections, or maybe they did, but something happened with their friendship. You know how women can be, right? And they're no longer in touch anymore, or someone doesn't want to apologize or whatever. And so they miss out on that. So they kind of like to see women actually still being able to get along, right? And have these relationships, because they are possible. Now, sometimes, like Denise has said, like you do have to work at them, right? Like you do have to make sure you're connecting and reaching out and checking in on people and seeing how they're doing, and sometimes just push your way in, but it's worth it, right? It's worth it because, as she said, there's so many women that are by themselves at this age, just for whatever reason, right? Maybe their children have left, right? Because we encourage, we raise these independent kids and we're like, go and find your own life, right? Or maybe they are divorced, right? Or maybe they were never married, or maybe they've had a change in their job, because some people get a lot of life from like their workplace. And, when you have been removed from your workplace, now you're like, what do I do? Who am I, without this work and this job? And they just find themselves in this place where they are so alone, and not just alone, but like depressed to the point where many have been suicidal, which was really heartbreaking for me, like to learn that in this big world with all of these people and all of the possibilities for relationships, that you can't find anybody, friend or family member, right, that can help you not drift so far down into that kind of, depression and lonely space. So I do take, I'm always, teasing Denise, of course, but I don't take for granted that there are people out there, and women especially, that see us and that it gives them life. Right? Like that's part of, what our mission is. Like we want to be able to support women, like even in small ways, right? Just watching us, or just being able to laugh at like some of our little cartoons where she makes me way too fat. Right. Okay. They do find humor in it. And that might just be their whole day, but it matters, and it's good, and it's helpful. So that's one of the things that helps keep me committed, like even knowing like in those small ways that we are making an impact.
And I think and one thing that Kamesha says that sticks with me too is our relationship is easy, but that doesn't mean that our friendship doesn't get hard in pockets. You know what I mean? We don't agree on everything. We don't agree on sometimes we don't agree on guesses. Sometimes we don't agree on topics. We do not agree on everything. And even some things, like I just had a conversation with Kamesha the other night, and I'm crying and I'm complaining about something that has happened personally in our life. And the first thing she said was like, the problem is not him. The problem is you. It's none of your business. You know what I'm saying? But then she didn't leave it at that. Then she goes on to tell me why it is our business and why there's a different way of handling it. And I think that when you get with a friend that you connect with, you have to be able to trust them. And you have to be able to respect that they may not agree with what you're doing. But I also feel like their delivery should be, I don't agree. This is why I don't agree. And this is, why I feel like this is wrong. And, so I feel like nothing should be that hard. But it's not going to always be easy. But if it's so hard that you guys can't connect, then you have to go back to your why. Why are y'all even friends? Why? What is there?
Interesting. So this is Wisdom in Bloom.
It
so
is.
The wisdom, so the wisdom is always blooming. It's not, it's not ever.
Oh, learning all the time.
Yeah. It's not ever like it's final. but it's
No,
always, it's
no,
always blooming. Yeah.
and I feel like we have to think about that as women too, like because as you
Mm-hmm.
said, sometimes we feel invisible, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not because we don't have anything to offer, right? Like we still have so much to offer, like at this age, and even as we get older, because of our
Mm-hmm.
experience, like our
Yeah.
life experience is what allows us to be the experts, right, on life. It's like we've lived up to
Mm-hmm.
this point, and we have some wisdom and some information that we can share with you that won't
Mm-hmm.
make your life so difficult. Now, you don't have to take our advice, as
Right.
you know,
You do
many
not.
young people don't. People want to make their
Right.
own mistakes sometimes, right?
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that we're not here to share like what we've
Mm-hmm.
learned to help those who do want to like avoid some of the big roadblocks,
Mhm.
in life. So that's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
where I guess the wisdom piece comes in. But because we are always growing, we're always learning, even at this age, like we're still
Oh,
blooming. Like
yes.
Yeah.
we're still like our best is still yet to come. Like that's what I tell Denise, it's
Mhm.
not behind us. I think that also could be why sometimes women this age think, they get depressed and sad, like, oh my gosh, I've lost so much. It's like, but there's so much life ahead, right?
Right.
That was just
Yes.
one part or one phase or one chapter or however you look at your life. And now this is the new chapter. This is the new phase, the new stage. Like you can do whatever
Yeah.
you want. You don't got these kids tying you down. You know what I
Girl,
mean?
please. This is
Unless
the
you're a
best
grandmother,
part of
you
life
may have
right
some
now.
other circumstances, or you don't have this man that you've been ready to get rid of for 10 years,
Mhm.
like, or this job that you hate. It's like, look at it
Mm-hmm.
as this is a new opportunity. Like
Yes.
you have lost things, but don't dwell on that. But dwell on like the newness and the opportunities of all the things that can be possible now. That's
Mm-hmm.
what you need to be paying attention to. That's where you need to
Mm-hmm.
be focused on. And if you're focused on that, oh my God, so many women our age have become successful at our age.
Mhm.
They weren't
Mm-hmm.
successful at 22. They
Yes.
weren't successful at 25. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. Like
Yeah.
Right.
most 30-year-olds don't, right? Like this
Mm-hmm.
is the time when you can take everything that you've learned in your life and start following some of those dreams that you didn't have time for or opportunity for whatever reason, and go and live this new phase, this new part of your life.
Right.
So I'm like, I get excited about that when I think about where our women can be going if
Yeah.
they're not looking back, right? If they're looking
Yes.
forward, like, just look
Yes.
forward. Keep looking
Yes.
forward.
Dr.
Yes.
Marsha, this is her all the time. That that optimistic, that
Yeah.
optimistic.
Yes. Yes. I love that.
I've known her for 40 years, and this is
Now it's 40. Okay. And you're only 40.
We were in the sandbox playing around.
yeah, that optimistic is always been there.
Right. Well,
Always been there.
that's what I say about grandmas is that, this is the time in our life when guess what? We can do whatever we want to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
because our children are grown now, our children are adults. We get to take our life back.
Mhm.
Yes.
And what we did, what we wanted to do maybe in our 20s and 30s, we can do now if we want to do it, you
Mhm.
know? And that's what I'm seeing women do. I'm seeing women, take their second chapter and, oh, guess what? I always wanted to travel the world. I can do that now. I have
Mhm.
nobody tugging at my, my coattail, my pants. Me, nobody's doing that. I had
Mhm.
nobody sitting outside the bathroom while I'm going to the bathroom.
Right.
Nobody trying to go in the bathroom with me when I'm going to the bathroom. Nobody's with a cold, none of that. It's just my life now. I can do what I want to do. And I'm learning that women are doing some phenomenal things.
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
living boldly.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
And I love it. And that's what's so
And being
exciting.
rewarded for it. And being
Yes,
rewarded
yes.
for
They're
it.
taking the life by the horn. And then now, yes, there's a lot of them that are out there lonely, but there's a lot of them that are just saying, guess what? I'm doing me unapologetically, and I don't care who does not like it.
Mhm.
That
But
is
even to our women who are lonely, we want them to know that we see you, we see them.
Mhm.
I mean, I was one of them. I suffer from depression and anxiety. I have a therapist. My husband deals with me constantly. I mean, just today, I tearfully said to him, like, thank you for. I mean, we've been together almost 36 years, and through that, I've taken him through so much of me being depressed or being down or even having a nervous breakdown at one time. So we see you, and we're not sitting here laughing and connecting and not knowing that there is a dark side to what women go through, even in our midlife or beyond. There is something that we always go through, and we see you. We are just a little bit of the light that we want to show you, because this is a America problem. It really is. I mean, there are countries that recognize this problem so passionate that they have put loneliness ambassadors in charge of their elderly people to help them. And so this is a world problem, but we see you, even in that little light, we see you. And don't think that we haven't been there, or there isn't some connection, because trust me, there is. And the wisdom of it is that we're sharing it. The blooming part is that we're growing with you. And as we learn, we'll keep telling you how we're getting through it.
Yep. And if you're looking for a sisterhood, little shameless plug here, Dr. Marsha, we do have our Facebook community. So look for us on Facebook, our Wisdom and Bloom podcast on Facebook. You can see all of the, humorous things that Denise releases. We have a book club that we've just started that we're reading with women. So we're finding more ways to connect with women, and bring them together with us so that they can feel like they have others, who are out here who see them, right? And who want to grow with them and learn with them. So be sure to check us out on Facebook as well.
Okay. I was just
going to please let me know if there's any time that you're having any kind of meeting virtually, because I know I'm not where you are, but I would love to be a part of your grandma connection and offer my voice wherever you need me at.
Okay, great. I was just going to ask you, tell us how we can get in touch with you. That was one thing. And then the other thing I was going to ask you guys is how we could collaborate. And I think you already answered that by saying what we do. And you already plugged in your Facebook. What about Instagram? Go ahead and tell us how to get in touch with you there as well.
We're all things Wisdom and Bloom podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. Is there another? Oh, and YouTube.
Okay, perfect.
It's all things at Wisdom and Bloom podcast.
Okay.
Marsha, don't be surprised if we use your book and you start seeing you as a cartoon character.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what? One of my interns did me as a superhero, and I had blonde hair with a cape. It was the cutest thing. I said, I love that. And the time I was wearing my hair naturally, so I had a mohawk. It was so cute. And of course, I was like, yes, Coca-Cola bottle. Yes.
That was you all the way.
I'm always.
How did you get me like that? I love it. Right?
I'm always messing us up, and I'll send it. I'll put it out, and Kamesha will text me and say, you could have took 20 pounds off of that cartoon.
Right. That's what I told her. I said, I love the Coca-Cola bottle. Yes, baby. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great.
And I make her go through all the things on the cartoon. I go through probably 90% of the menopause stuff. Kamesha might go through 2, but
that calculation is off completely. I am the one suffering.
Don't complain. Well, let me put it like this: she doesn't complain like I do.
She's just the observer. Like, I'm the one suffering for whatever.
Sweat going everywhere.
Yes, whatever situation. She had me sitting there once with one sock on, one sock off. I don't even know. I'm like, what is this?
Where is my other sock? Right?
What in the world?
One time I had a
lady like, where's my cell phone? And she's talking on. Right?
One time I had her laying down doing yoga, and I'm standing behind her, and she texted me and she said, I don't even want to ask, but that looks very inappropriate. What the hell is happening in this? And my husband and her are both Aries, and my husband says, you have really got to stop doing my friend like that.
See, even others see how she treats me. Others see it, not just me.
I don't think I've seen the cartoons. I'm going to have to pay attention to that.
Yeah. They're lovely.
I'm going to definitely pay attention to that now. You got me hooked. I got to pay attention to that. Ladies, it's been so much fun. Oh, my God. It's been great. I had no idea it was going to be this much fun, okay?
Oh,
Thank you.
No, it was wonderful. It's so great to meet you. And I was looking at some of your things that you have going on. I saw you had your grandma's 2.0
The
pageant.
pageant,
Like,
yeah,
oh my
girl.
gosh.
Right.
I love the light that you are shining on grandma.
Thank you.
We
Thank
did
you.
the, we did the
Beyond
vision board last year with Dr. Marshall. Remember we did the vision board?
Yes, 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 yeah, yeah. We,
Yeah.
we're just out here trying to have a good time and
Mhm.
trying to make sure that people know that grandmas are not invisible. We out here, honey.
Mm-hmm.
We're out here. We are
Absolutely.
living our best life,
Mhm.
right? And this is the
Absolutely.
2.0 version. And guess what? Whether you like it or not, we are visible.
Mhm. We are, like
We ain't
Coach
going
Prime
nowhere.
said, we are here.
We are here. That's right.
Mhm.
And you know who I met recently, and I am in love with him now, David Banner.
Did
This
you?
guy is off the
Oh.
chain.
I've heard some great things about him.
He's
Yes,
like a revolutionary for our
yes, I am
community.
in love with him. I mean,
So
this guy
passionate.
is something else. He is so
Mhm.
passionate and
Mhm.
so pro-black,
Mhm.
Yes.
anything, and so respectful of women. I'm like, wow.
Mhm.
And just it doesn't matter who the woman is. I mean, he is just like you know how men sometimes they throw you a line,
Yes.
but the line he throws you, he's very sincere with it. Like he said,
Right,
"Oh my God,
right.
you're so beautiful," and he really acts like he's sincere with it. And then he'll say the next woman something totally different.
Yeah.
But he makes you feel so good about yourself. He is
Yes.
something else. He's really something
Oh,
else.
that's amazing.
And I'm like,
I've heard a
wow.
lot of great things about him.
Yeah, who are you and where did you come from all of a sudden? Because we need you. I mean, the black women need him.
Mhm.
Yes.
Really. Yeah,
Yes.
really we do. Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal young man. I'm like, wow, he's really something. And I met him in DC recently at what is the not the NAACP, the HBCU honors award.
Mm.
So beautiful, and he is absolutely stunning. He's beautiful.
Mm.
Not handsome.
I've
He's
seen him
beautiful.
in person, just
Right,
on
right.
God.
In person, up close in person, I'm like, oh my God. Like, oh my God, you're beautiful.
Where have you been? Oh my
Right. How old are you again? Right. Yes, honey, but anyway, but yeah, he's really nice, yeah, and very respectful young man. I was like, wow, you don't meet many young men like that, that are respectful.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Of all women, not just the little.
Yes.
Yeah. Of all women.
Right. And that care so much too.
Yes.
About our community. I feel like we have lost so many. And he doesn't seem like he's a person who is really out for himself. Like he really seems like he genuinely wants us all to do better. You know?
He's a different kind of young man. He really is.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I was impressed by him. Yeah. So
great thing.
I'm like, wow, I wish he would train some of these other guys how to act that way.
He should teach a class.
Yeah, definitely. He needs a master class. That's what I'm gonna tell him in my next thing when I see him next time.
Yeah.
Please teach a master class on how to be. Every young man needs to have the Dave Banner way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. I mean,
thank you, ladies. Yeah, it was wonderful. And tell Mr. Your husband I said hello, okay?
Yeah, I definitely.
And tell him I miss him, even though you kicked him to the curb. But anyway. But you did replace him well. Sometimes people don't replace well, but you did replace him well. Okay.
Thank you. We should have a special episode with
we need to do something.
Bringing him back.
Well, Dr. Marsha, everybody loved Mr. B. I used to do Mr. B the same way I do Kamesha, but I do Kamesha that way with the cartoons. But I used to do Mr. B. I would post stuff and I would put a random white guy in the bottom and put his name over it that this guy is dancing and doing. I'm like, listen, Mr. B. And then I would mess with him on the podcast because he's so soft-spoken sometimes. And I would say, oh, he's dry as toast. And I bought him a t-shirt that said dry as toast and made him wear. I used to do all kind of things. And listeners used to reach out to me and say, can you please leave Mr. B alone?
We like him. Why are you torturing him?
all the time. I wouldn't call him my co-host. I would call him my sidekick.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah. I used to get off from men and women. Like, can you please? Like, what did Mr. B do to you? Can you please?
Again, right? Well, thank you, ladies. It was
Thank
my
you,
pleasure.
Dr.
Thank you so
It
much.
was an honor. It really
Yes,
was.
Thank
I look forward
you.
to talking to you again.
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
Bye,
take
guys.
care now. Bye.
Introducing a remarkable book, a tapestry of stories from atypical grandmas whose lives are a treasure trove of wisdom and inspiration. Stories of inspiration, life lessons, and wisdom from grandmas by Dr. Marsha McLean. This extraordinary book is now available on www.grandmas2.0.com and on Amazon.